Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. There is a famous saying by Judith Stern that we're big proponents of when it comes to preventative health. It goes genetic loads the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. Environmental toxicant can disrupt our hormones, which can result in everything from cancer to type 2 diabetes to infertility. One of the most effective ways of control your environmental exposure is by making small changes around your home. That's why we're so glad to chat today with Kirsty Maginness. Kirsty is a retired registered nurse, a Low-Tox educator, and advocate for Hugh Grace. So during this live, we're going to talk about little things that you can do to create low toxic home, making low toxic living more affordable, and then clean beauty care. So I saw. Here you are. Hi, Kirsty.
Hello.
Finally, we get to meet each other in person.
Yes.
Virtually.
I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Tell us a little bit about your background, like why you became so interested in low toxic living.
Well, as you mentioned, I'm a registered nurse. I am also a mother of two, and for me, motherhood was a really, really, really hard journey. I was definitely, I'm 50. I grew up in the 90s. I was very medical model. I trusted that if something wasn't regulated or banned by the government, then it must be safe. And I was definitely a 90s girl. I love to spray myself in perfumes. I love to slather on all the beauty products. And I was a big endurance athlete. And, when my husband and I started to, try to have a family, it just didn't happen. My cycles were off. We went to, some top specialists, and all they did was manipulate my hormones. I was able to have my first child, and then we had four frozen embryos. But when we tried to implant them, none of them took. And then we started on more rounds of IVF. And at the time I was still working, I was working emergency room, so highly stressed job. And I changed to practices to a different fertility specialist who was the first person to address the fact that there were endocrine disrupting chemicals that I was being exposed to, and that they played an impact on my fertility. I'd been at that point doing IVF and fertility stuff for 7 years, and it was the first time. This was about 2013, 2014, that it was brought up that, this was something I needed to take a look at. And it was eye-opening for me because, as I said, I was just a product junkie. I had air fresheners in my house. I burned candles. I sprayed perfume on. You name it, I did it. And suddenly I had to take a real look at what else could be going on, because I was, there was nothing physiologically in terms of anatomy wrong with me. I was very estrogen dominant, but that was it. And through the gift of embryo adoption, we did actually have my youngest child, and completed me as a mom. And at that point I was in my early 40s, and ER was very, very stressful, so I took a back seat. I decided to step away from nursing, and that was just focus on being a mom. At that point I started noticing that I had other issues that I'd never experienced before. I couldn't lose weight despite breastfeeding. I felt tired all the time, more than just, pregnant, new mom tired. It was like 2 years later, I was, baby was sleeping through the night, and I just couldn't, just move forward. And that then begun to have me dive deeper and deeper into the role of, our endocrine system, how it affects all these different things. At the point where I was looking to go back into nursing, I discovered direct sales and Hugh Grace, and it because it was something I was so passionate about. It gave me the option to be an educator, which is the thing I love most about nursing. It allowed me to help people, I felt, but while still giving me the flexibility. So while I don't work as a nurse anymore, I feel like I keep the same things I used to do.
This is so awesome, because education is such a huge component, and the public awareness of these hormone disruptors are so low. I think people who you came in touch with can really benefit from both your nursing background as well as your personal experience.
Yes, I think so. And it's, as one of the things, when I talk to people about it, most people are very much like me. They tend to believe that if it's sold on the shelves and if the government doesn't ban it, then it must be okay. Our bodies, our children, our families are swimming in a toxic slurry of chemicals, and we're willingly adding them into our bodies, surrounding ourselves in our environment with it. And when you kind of begin to break down the mystique, people, and help them make simple changes, not let them get overwhelmed, people see remarkable changes.
Totally aligned. So what does a low-tox lifestyle mean to you?
To me, short of like moving into, the Sahara Desert, it's not realistic to say, so that you can eliminate all toxins from your environment. And for most people, if you tried, such a radical suggestion, they would be like, I can't do it. So for me, it's about making slow changes, well, not too slow, but making systematic changes over time, and making out simple swaps with the main kind of toxic exposures that people have, and when they run out of a cleaner, swapping to a clean, a non-toxic one. When they run out of their skincare, switching to one that is not filled with hormone disruptors. And to me, that's what it's about. It's about making changes in a systematic way, but making your life livable.
Love it. Since we have to do a lot of education on this topic, let's just dive deep a little bit. So
Yes.
What are some signs that toxic chemicals are starting to impact your health and fertility?
Well, I think those signs are kind of like the tip of the toxic iceberg. For me, I was struggling. I didn't realize that I was infertile. I was, in my 30s. I was very fit. I looked, radiant with health. I had no sleeping issues, no weight issues, and yet I couldn't get pregnant. It was silent. It was only over time that some of those other things that people can see but it's kind of more of a late stage thing. Things like, weight gain, or not being able to lose weight when you eating, exercising, doing all the right things, or perhaps you're losing weight and you're eating and you're doing all those right things. Chronic fatigue, exhaustion, sleep issues, all of those things can be affected by, because they're controlled by our endocrine system. Mm-hmm. And if our endocrine system is being impacted or dysfunctional, you will eventually start seeing your body as, display some of these common symptoms. And yes, it could be other things causing them, but often most of us, as I said, are actually struggling with toxic exposure. So if you're thinking, well, yeah, but that could be menopause, it could be this, it could be that. Yes, it could, but it very likely is actually your toxic exposure. And if you can reduce that, you may see a lot of these symptoms ease off.
I love this analogy, like a tip of the iceberg. It's almost like, because the tip of the iceberg is on top of the water, right?
Yes.
And by the time you actually see the tip of the iceberg, it's it's getting late.
Yes.
Versus everything submerged in the water is actually like continues to build up. I love this.
Yes. Like the Titanic, the side of your ship has already been ripped open before you see the iceberg. So yeah, it's a sign. If you don't have these signs, it doesn't mean you don't need to take notice.
So how are these toxic chemicals getting into our homes?
Well, we buy it and we bring it into our home. Some common things that people have: scented candles, air fresheners, the products we have in our bathrooms, our facial products, our body products, our shampoo, our conditioners, the things we're washing our kids with, the products we're cleaning our house with and cleaning our windows with. All of them contain endocrine disrupting chemicals, and even ones when we are buying organic ones, what we think are organic ones can also contain these chemicals. So you have to be very, very careful and look at labels.
So what are some like common chemicals that we should be look out for?
Phthalates are the biggest chemical that we're exposed to, and it is everywhere. And often you don't actually see phthalate on the label. Phthalates are the things that make everything smell good, and they put it in everything from your body moisturizer, your shampoo, your conditioner, your dishwashing detergent. It's in your candles. It often isn't on the label because the FDA allows companies to what you'll see it as is fragrance or even natural fragrance, and it's an accepted way of hiding chemicals, hiding phthalates, because it's under the disguise of trademarked secrets. And there's, I think Johnson & Johnson was a big scandal with it a few years ago, that they actually had like baby stuff that said phthalate free, but when it was tested, it was filled with it because it was under their fragrance.
Yeah, you call the artificial fragrance like the new secondhand smoke.
Yes.
I love this analogy. Like, so why is that?
Well, I mean, because it is so destructive on our body, and we're pouring so much into us. When we rub lotions on our skin, when we touch the surfaces that are contaminated with particularly phthalates, but triclosan is another one that's an antibacterial. There's butyl ethanol, which is in window cleaners. When we touch all of these things, it absorbs into our skin, and then it affects our endocrine system. And that's our reproductive, it's our sleep, it's our mood. We tend to think of endocrine as, reproductive health, but it's really, it controls everything. Our adrenals, our cortisol. So, stress, sleep, exhaustion, the fertility issues that we may be struggling with are all things that we are putting on us, that smell good, and, are just in everything. And, we are actually changing our bodies because of it. I mean, men have now the lowest sperm counts that they've recorded. Men's sperm counts are declining. Women's infertility rates are increasing. We're seeing, more autism spectrum. Not that there's a direct link, but, we are seeing so much more chronic disease, autoimmune diseases that are related to just more studies are showing that are related to endocrine disruption. And in fact, there's a very interesting study I saw. It's actually quite old, and I can't quote it directly, but there's linkages to childhood leukemia and triclosan, the antibacterial, the stuff that our children nowadays, we don't let them be exposed to any dirt and germs, and it's actually making us sick.
Yeah, there are just so many unknowns. But I love it. Like this is like really good analogy, like secondhand smoke, because the actual secondhand smoke causes cancer, and then now this new secondhand smoke is causing all kinds of issues too.
Yep. And people think, well, I'm not smoking it or I'm not ingesting these chemicals, but you are.
Yeah. You have a beginner's guide to low-tox living, which we love.
Yes.
And then we don't want to give everything away, but we're going to discuss like a couple clean swap ideas. So what are some like clean swaps for cleaning supplies?
It's very new to the company that I work with, Hugh Grace. But it's something I'm very excited about, because before I was making my own home cleaners, and I was using another brand that was very dilute. Grove, it's a great brand, but I had to use a lot of it to get stuff clean. And Hugh Grace, what we're all about is multi-purpose, multi-function, so that you get one thing and it does lots of stuff. So, not only does it work, but it's economical. So we have a multi-purpose concentrate, and you dilute it in 2 different strengths, and it cleans everything. I add a little bit into my water and I wash. There you go. I wash my floors with it. I wash my granite countertops. I clean my mirrors, my windows with it. I use newsprint because that helps kind of get off the surfactant that helps loosen dirt. I clean my toilets with it. I flush the toilet when it's empty. I spray it in there and then I clean the toilet. I mean, that's just not a surface. I clean my outdoor furniture with it. I cleaned my oven with it the other day because the kids just killed the inside of the oven with pizza and brownie making everywhere. So, it does literally everything. And then I was able to, after I clean the oven, like later on that afternoon, I was able to just switch on the oven and roast a chicken for dinner, because I knew that there wasn't like toxic stuff that was off-gassing in that oven. So it's super, and it smells good. But what's making it smell good is not the phthalates. It's actually the natural ingredients we have in there, orange blossom, which helps just clean. It's got lemongrass in there that's like a natural antibacterial. So it's just smells lovely. It gives me my old-fashioned fix of like making the house, spraying the air spray. Now I just clean and the house smells great.
That's awesome. What are some clean swaps for like a feminine hygiene products?
Well, I mean, there's several ways you can go, and the cleanest is, and my daughter that's 15, 16, she's not into them. So menstrual cups are really great because it's a silicone cup. It collects the blood. It's reusable, so it's environmentally friendly. It's non-toxic. There's definitely a technique to it. There are, I think it's called Glad rags. There are reusable cloth pads that you can use. It's super, super clean. I looked into period pants, but they're actually filled with some forever chemicals, and then you really don't want to be wearing that right next to all your private parts. A lot of common, sanitary pads and Tampax are filled, they bleach that cotton. So it's got bleach in there, it's got other chemicals in there, and that is really not what you want to be putting into your mucous membranes, which are even more absorbable, your vagina, than the skin on your neck or your face. So you need to be really careful about period products. But there are Honey Pot is a non-toxic brand, and there are a couple of other that don't use bleach cotton that are cleaner. But definitely menstrual cups and these reusable cloth pads are the cleanest. But for some people, that's, a bridge too far for them. So at least start with looking for chlorine-free, some of the non-toxic brands.
Oh, I totally agree. A few years ago, I switched to making sure using organic cotton pads or organic cotton tampon, and making sure there's no bleach. And I also started using the silicone cup. Yeah, because it's actually way more environmentally friendly, and you can reuse it multiple times.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. It's a small learning curve, but I think it's like totally worth it.
Well, I think women should get to be familiar with their anatomy and comfortable with it. So it's kind of there's a benefit to doing it, to going through that learning curve. But I also am a fan of like simple swaps in other areas. So, obvious one, the food that we're eating, a lot of the processed food, canned food, processed food is filled with chemicals and preservatives that we don't want to be putting into our body. So for me, I'm like, if you can buy organic fruit and vegetables, organic meat, while they cost more, if you can start eliminating the processed stuff that you're bringing into the house, that payoff more than balances itself, and you're going to be healthier, and you're probably going to lose weight, because that's the way nature designed us to eat. I think then the next area to tackle, obviously, is we go through cleaning products pretty quickly, is our Hugh and Grace multi-purpose cleaner. You literally will not need to use any other products. The other big area that we need to be worried about is laundry products. Laundry products like water softeners, clothes softener and drying sheets. Those are all filled with chemicals. I can't quite, it's perchloroethylene, I think, is in dry cleaning solutions, spot cleaners, carpet cleaners. So for me, what I found, because I have a dog right here.
Oh, hey.
Notorious for throwing up on things. So biological, I just use hydrogen peroxide contact lens solution, and that actually lifts off organic matter really, really well. And I use dryer balls, which are just wool balls, and that works really well for softening stuff. And these are things that you just add over time to your shopping list. As you run out of your skincare, Hugh and Grace has a wonderful line of serums that are completely organic, have no parabens, which is that's the thickener that makes our creams moisturizers and goopy. So, eliminating those things, those products, is a very good swap that you can make. Body oils, we have a great body oil rather than the moisturizers. We have a great cleansing bar rather than all of those body washes, which are filled with perfumes, filled with phthalates. So, things like that. That's what I really suggest doing. And I've got all that listed in the guide. What I don't have in the guide yet is actually our home care, because it is that new that I need to sit down this weekend. I realized today, update it to mention our home care line.
Yeah, I love these simple swaps. And then I also love how Hugh and Grace is putting together everything to be so simple. And then also just the body care and then serum, facial care stuff, personal care stuff. Your whole family can use it.
Exactly.
I love it, taking it to traveling, because it's like small enough that it's
you can just
put it in your carry-on, and my husband use it, I use it. So it's pretty nice. And I know Sarah and Ben put on Hugh and Grace.
Yes. And you can, even doing all those things, there is some, there's forever chemicals, there's plastics that are in just everything. One of the things, heavy metal exposure that we can't, it's in our water. There's certain exposures that I said, short of going on a fast and living in a desert, you're going to be exposed to anyway. So one of the things I do is I use the hydrate detox drink that we make. That is electrolyte balance, but it also helps eliminate heavy metals. It helps balance your gut, because if your gut health is so tied up in hormone regulation and good health. So for me, it's been transformative. I was someone that always struggled with chronic constipation, and within about 6 weeks of drinking this, like, my gut health is completely transformed, and I feel much better for it. So, there are loads of things you can do to ameliorate the impact of what you're exposed to.
That is amazing. So what's your favorite Hugh and Grace product?
The hydrate detox.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it's, the combination of, I don't know whether it's because I'm just healthier, but a lot of my I used to have very strong, intense food cravings. And I think one of the things I've noticed alongside, revamping my exposure and fixing my gut is now that I don't have intense food cravings. So it tastes really good. And it's something, it doesn't feel like I'm taking a supplement. It doesn't feel like I'm doing something. It's just a drink I have. My teenager drinks it too. It's been really good for her. So that's probably my favorite one. But I love the household cleaning. But the one thing I just couldn't give up is the drink.
Nice. Give us a little sneak peek of the beginner's guide to low tox living. What can people expect from this guide?
A step by step to making simple swaps to a healthier life and a healthier home. And simple, not overburdensome things. That's what I do is just, instead of doing this, do this. And I go through all the different ways in which you can make simple swaps to things that will reduce your exposure over time. And that's from, the way you shop for groceries, the products you're using. I just offer alternatives, and that's what that simple guide is about.
And where can people find it?
Well, if you go to my Instagram profile and click on the link in bio, it takes you to a page that offers you my Low-Tox guide. It takes you to my website if you want to order any of the products. There's a bunch of information that I've got on there that I think is very useful to people. But you'll see that the first thing I have there is linked to my Low-Tox guide.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for putting this together and then sharing with everyone. I feel like everyone needs to take a look and then start swapping.
Thank you. I think so too. And I love the opportunity to share. I'm very passionate about it, as you can tell. So to be able to share with a new network of people is very exciting to me. Thank you so much for what you do.
Well, thank you. We need more people like you. We need more brands like Hugh and Grace to really get everyone start being aware of these things and then also making swaps.
And making it easy for them. Exactly.
Thank you so much, Kirsty. And then we had a pretty good turnout, and thank you everyone for joining. So be sure to follow Kirsty at Kirsty Maginness, and download the beginner's guide to low tox living. We'll be promoting it.
Thank you. Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.